I'm going to show you how to calculate your total monthly expenses. But before we do that, let's take a look at this statement right here because it is so powerful. And it says, watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. So many people don't even realize that their day-to-day habits are creating their destiny, but they're doing things over and over again every single month, and they're creating their destiny. And unfortunately, most people's destiny is financial struggle. But today, I want you to get really clear on your expenses. And that way, you can start to create a destiny that is filled with financial freedom and abundance. So, when you know what your total monthly expenses are, then you have to do two things. The first thing you need to do is identify your fixed expenses and your variable expenses. And then the second thing you need to do is cut the variable expenses that are not important. Let's go ahead and dive in. So I already pre-populated some expenses on this spreadsheet. You can download this spreadsheet in the description below. It's completely free for you guys, and I want you to follow along with me. So, if you look in column A here, I have all of my different line items, and then in column B I have the amounts. Now I'm gonna make a couple assumptions here. Assumption number 1 is that you gonna be tracking these expenses from your checking account because your checking account is where you spend money. Sometimes people also have savings accounts, but I am just gonna assume that you gonna be tracking everything through your checking account. And then the second assumption is that you only gonna be tracking the expenses that you had in the month of September. Because in order to really get clear on your numbers, you want to do this exercise on a monthly basis. So the first thing I want you to do is make sure that you populate all of your different line items in column A and then put the amount in column B. So as you can see here, I have rent. I'm gonna assume that a lot of you guys pay rent. If you don't, then put in your mortgage. So in the cell next to it, I put $1,200. This is a fixed expense because no matter what, every single month I'm gonna be paying $1,200 for rent. That is a fixed expense. Then I have utilities. Again, this is another fixed expense because my electricity, water, trash, they're always gonna be due every single month. It doesn't matter what, I'm gonna have to pay them. So I have internet, I have electricity, I have gas, and then I have trash. So I have all of those under utilities, and I am gonna add up all of the totals, and that way I can see exactly how much I am spending on utilities. Then I have groceries and I have eating out. So these are considered variable expenses. Now why? Because I don't have to eat out every single month. And also, I don't have to go to the grocery store every single month. I could choose to go to the grocery store once a month or twice a month. Maybe not go at all and just eat food that I already have in my pantry. So these are variable expenses because I could cut them out entirely or I could reduce them. So that's why they're called variable expenses. Whereas the other ones are fixed expenses. No matter what, I have to pay them. I have to pay my rent. I have to pay my utilities. I have to pay my insurance. Okay, so then you want to add up all of your different line items. So you have your total rent, your total utilities, your total groceries, your total eating out, transportation, clothing, entertainment, personal care, education, miscellaneous. All of these expenses should be added up so you know exactly where you stand financially. And then the last thing you want to do is calculate your total monthly expenses. Now there's a couple ways to do this. You can either do it manually or you can use a formula. Now I'm gonna show you both ways. So right here I simply just added up all of these expenses and the total came out to $3,467. Now let's go ahead and look at the formula way. So if you go to equals sum, press the tab key and then you want to select all of your cells. So I'm gonna select all of these and then I'm gonna press enter. And you can see right here it gives me the exact same number. 3467. Now the reason I want you to track your expenses every single month is so you can catch any leaks that might be happening. So let us say one month it was $3,400 and the next month it is $3,300 and the next month it is $3,200. So, you're seeing a trend of your expenses decreasing. That's a good sign. Or let us say it was $3,400 one month and then the next month it is $3,500 and then the next month it is $3,600 and you seeing a trend that it is increasing. You have to investigate and figure out what's happening. Are you taking on more debt? Are you making more money and therefore spending more money? Or are you spending money that you don't have? You want to know exactly what is going on with your finances so you can live within your means and be able to save money and invest money. When I first started tracking my expenses back in 2018, I realized that I was spending $2,000 a month on rent. And I thought that was okay because I was making $4,000 a month. I thought it was okay to spend half of my income on rent. But then I realized that if I was spending $2,000 a month on rent, I would never be able to buy a house and I would never be able to retire early. I would be working until I'm 65 years old. So that's when I decided to move in with my fiancée and get a roommate, and I wanted to cut down my expenses so I could start to invest and save more money. And that's when I created the zero-based budget. After I moved in with my fiancée and got a roommate, I was only paying $600 on rent, and that gave me more room to save and invest more money. And that's when I really started to see my net worth start to grow. So I went from having less than $1,000 in my bank account to having $20,000 in my bank account and being completely debt-free. And it all started with cutting down my expenses and then investing that money. You can see right here that my biggest expenses were my rent and my utilities. In fact, my rent alone was $1,200, which is crazy because I didn't think it was that much at the time, but when I really sat down and calculated all of my expenses, I realized that I needed to cut down my expenses if I wanted to save more money. Now, after you identify your total monthly expenses, you need to subtract that from your income, and that way you lines know exactly how much money you have left over. And there's only 3 things you can do with that money. You can either save it, you can invest it, or you can spend it. And I want you to save and invest as much as humanly possible. So after you identify how much money you have left over, then you need to sit down and make a plan for that money. So, you want to ask yourself, what am I gonna do with that money? Am I gonna spend it on wants or needs, or am I gonna save it and invest it? Am I gonna pay off debt or invest in my education? What am I actually gonna do with this money? Most people just spend it without even thinking about it. They just spend it on things that they don't even need. So, I want you to think about what you're going to do with this money. And if you're not sure, I have a great video right here for you that goes into more detail. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this video has helped you. If it has, please leave me a comment below. Also make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can get notified whenever I upload a new video. Have an amazing day.